Hello and welcome to Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you on your journey to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. And this is your host, Beck Milonas, High Priestess, Channel, and Activator. Join me on this series as I share reflections, insights, and channel transmissions from my journey of walking the initiation path. Each episode is a unique transmission containing supportive frequencies to facilitate the deepest healing, activation, and reconnection with your soul. I invite you to open your mind and set the intention to receive this episode into your heart space. Let's go. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. Today, I want to drop in with some of the energies, what's going on, what's been going on in my life, what I'm seeing happening, what I'm seeing as a potential for our collective through and past this huge Lionsgate portal we've just had. Guys, really big energies. It feels like magic is happening. I don't know about you, but since I've landed here in Mexico, I have been here now a week, super fucking jet lagged still. We're getting there though. I have really seen this positive upswing of momentum in my life, in the lives of people around me. And one of the main themes that I'm seeing is soul tribe coming together, connections, possibilities, potentials, co-creations that are happening really quickly and really magically, right? So there is this potential at the moment for rapid acceleration, for magic. And it feels like the flow, the energy is easeful. So it is letting go of things needing to be difficult, letting go of the slog, the hustle, the pushing, the where the fuck are all the opportunities, where are all the people, where are all the things, right? It's just like things are dropping in really quickly now. If you've been doing the work to anchor all the energies that have been moving, this is the potential now moving forward. I'm seeing a rapid shift where we are all being called to come together. I don't know what for. It feels like for a purpose, but this is more than just online, right? I'm seeing, and I've heard this feedback from a few other channelers and people who are super tapped in, that there's this push for us to start to converge in person, to get together in person, to do events in person, to be doing retreats and gatherings and that sort of thing. So there is this push that is obviously something's on the horizon where we need to be together. We need to be strong. And I'm seeing that really coming together for me in my life and for those around me. So I really want to know, like, who else is feeling this energy? Let me know if this is resonating for you. If you are still struggling to call in your tribe, your soul tribe, right now is the moment where if you get those intuitive downloads to reach out to someone, to go somewhere, to do something, you've got to take those risks, guys. It was a fucking huge risk for me to come to Mexico. For me to do a bunch of things in my life, but particularly for me to come on this journey, on this adventure by myself. And me coming here has enabled and allowed and opened up space for me to be connecting with people on this side of the world, and for me to be in the energy that I need to be, on the grid that I need to be. So sometimes there's things that are required of us to get this ball rolling. And while there is this positive momentum and things can just drop in really quickly, it also requires us to take the necessary action. It also requires us to trust our intuition and follow those downloads. Hey, I feel to message this person that I've never spoken to before. I feel to follow up on this lead. I feel to go to this event. I feel to run this thing, right? So we need to be trusting those soul pings even more than ever. Because as I've said in the past, there are slipstreams, there are up levels, there are things available to us right now, but we need to take the action and go with the momentum when it's provided for us, because we can move really, really quickly. We can be seeing things showing up in our reality that we maybe have been calling in for decades, for a long fucking time, right? But we need to take the action is the piece here that really needs to land for you. Like, yes, it's magical. Yes, it's fast. Yes, things can be happening really quickly, but we also need to take the tangible action. So I'm really feeling that masculine energy coming in for me of like that fire under my ass to make the calls, to connect with the people, to start actually implementing things, right? Because we've all been talking about doing all this stuff, meeting up, creating events, coming together. But it's like now is the time to actually start. Like, it's fucking the time. It's time for us to be doing the things, right? So no more sitting on our asses, feeling into the energy of it, which, you know, if you've been listening to this podcast in sequential order, you would have seen the past episodes for me where I was in this bubble of feminine, calling it in, feeling the frequency of it. And now it's like, cool, it's time to take the action. The other thing that I'm seeing is a healing taking place of feminine and masculine in separation. So some really cool things have been showing up for me in opportunities to collaborate directly with masculine energy. And this is, I definitely have worked with men. I've collaborated with men in the past, but not in this way where it's a higher level and a higher caliber of men coming in for me to collaborate with, and noticing where do I contract in that collaboration, in that circumstance. So on the other day, I actually had a mastermind call and it was 4 dudes and me, which, is perfect. I fucking love being surrounded by dudes. And I got enough women to hold all of them, right? But there was moments and things were coming up in that interaction of seeing the way that they were doing it and the way that they were running the call, and this masculine energy of very logical, structured, disciplined. Let's talk through these blocks mentally and get to the logic of it. And I'm sitting there in my priestess, kind of feeling all of the things that, we were supporting one of the people on this call. All of us were supporting him. And I'm seeing it and I'm seeing all the pieces and I'm seeing all the things. And I was like, keep quiet. Like, you don't, they've got this. And I was like, what the fuck? Why am I sitting here feeling like this is a boys' club that I'm not a part of? What wounding is this? What part of my past is coming up for me? And where can I overcome this and realize that actually in that space, there was no mistake that I was there. There was no mistake. It was one feminine woman in this group of men, because I have a different thing to offer, which is my intuition, which is my magic, which is my creativity, which is my ability to see the thing. I could very much see the block, the exact what it was. They were trying to work through it with coaching. And I was like, I see the block. I'm just going to keep quiet until it's my time. But when I spoke up, it was received, right? So I had to move through some resistance of like, oh my God, I'm in this boys' club, which I think is a lot of what the feminine feels right now. We have this resistance to working with the masculine because the whole fucking world feels like this boys' club, right? It feels like this boys only gentlemen's club, patriarchal bullshit. And I'm not going into a full feminist rant here. I'm just saying, like, it's time for the boys' club and the girls' club to come together, because even in women's circles and men's circles, the way we do things is so different. But that point of difference is what makes us so powerful and potent for each other, because we can see those gaps. We can see those things that those other people are missing. And this is in collaboration too, even with the same sex. Like, you are able to see what someone is blocked with or what they're missing from a bird's eye outsider perspective way more easily than if you're in it, which is why it's so important to have coaches, mentors, friends that you can like bounce things off, right? I'm a great person for this, guys. So if you're stuck in your business, come to me, let's do a mentorship and I can help you fucking see those blocks and blast through them, right? So it's time to lift each other up, to support each other. The other interesting thing that I was seeing prior to this meeting coming up, and I want to share it, and it's a vulnerable share, but I feel like maybe it will help some women on here listening, you beautiful priestesses, powerful priestesses. The other night I was sitting in my room prior to this event of this mastermind call that I had, feeling into and looking into all of these Instagram accounts of these big men, right? Like in the industry, these big men who are on a pedestal, 200K followers. Like, okay, pedestaling is something we need to talk about too, but big followings, right? And I had this little voice in my head being like, oh, that's so cute. Look at them with their breath work and their coaching and their masculine way of doing things. How cute, how sweet. But it was almost like patronizing, right? It wasn't like, oh, it was like some part of me was like, I'm so much better than them because I'm this feminine goddess and they're so fucking slow. And can you guys just hurry up? And it was all this resentment and bitterness that I was noticing around the patriarchy, around the masculine way of doing things. And I really had to check myself of like, do you want to be projecting this outwards? Do you want to be projecting this separation outwards? Or do you want to look at where maybe that separation is coming from some part of you who doesn't feel like you belong in this boys' club? Whoa, big energy here, right? Because as a feminine, that boys' club has very much spat us out. it's excommunicated us. It's fucking pushed us down. So while we clear the residual anger or the resentment towards the masculine, these things are very sneaky in how they come up. And they might come up like, well, whatever, guys, like I have my gifts and my magic and I'm not needed here because clearly you don't want me here. And it will come up as this, like it was for me, this I'm better than you. But actually, that's not the fucking truth. It was coming from a place for me of that fear of, oh my God, if I start collaborating with these men, if I start putting myself and getting a seat at the fucking table with these big guns with the big dick slinging energy, whatever it is, right? Those people who are front and center, who are killing it in the industry, then maybe I'll be rejected, right? Maybe they'll cast me out. Maybe they won't see my magic and I will feel like shit, right? So there was some internal stuff for me. So it's an invitation. If you have any of this judgment, if you're constantly focusing on there are no men that are at my level, right? There are no men that are at my level. There are no men that can handle my magic. There are no men that have done the work to be able to be at the level of consciousness to hold me. These all used to be my stories. You're going to keep yourself in separation, and that is in relationship too, right? Because ideally, and not ideally, but realistically, guys, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the men aren't at our fucking level in terms of the spiritual mastery. But we're not at a lot of the men's level in terms of the physical mastery, the mental mastery, the mastery over their bodies, the mastery over their finances. So can you see how together we bring our magic, our witchcraft, our intuition, our creativity, our fucking ability to create, our orgasmic energy, our intuition, our oracle quality to those men who have the capacity to build the structures because they have the fucking money, they have the big platforms, they have the intellect, the discipline, the whatever it is, and we work together. Isn't that fucking powerful? Hi, beautiful soul. Allow me to interrupt this broadcast for just a second. If you're a soulpreneur on a sacred mission, or just someone looking to connect with their soul purpose, their gifts, and their multidimensional self, I have something I am so excited to share with you. The Soul Mission Accelerator is possibly my most groundbreaking and expansive work yet. It contains 12 low-cost, high-potency sacred activations that will have you shifting through old limitations, patterns, karmic loops, and blockages at quantum speeds. These activations will support you with everything you require energetically to anchor in the timeline and reality you desire to create. If that means more soul clients, tribe, opportunities, and abundance, or just to anchor a soul purpose that is fulfilling and effortlessly abundant, you can grab $44 off the total price by using the code CRACKEDOPEN in capital letters in the checkout, or grab each activation individually as they call to your soul. Now let's get back to this episode. The other thing that I was seeing coming up as I was exploring, what would it be like to be on so-and-so's podcast who has millions of followers? What would it be like to work with a high-level man in this capacity, right? Because it's funny, like the high-level men that we see right now, the leaders, they're spiritual, they're tapped in, but they're not at the level of spirituality or spiritual mastery as a lot of the women already are, right? So I have been feeling into like, okay, cool. So these audiences that they've cultivated are in that energy. What a fucking perfect space for me to come in with my spiritual mastery, my gifts, my ability to activate people, and then activate this huge audience who's ready for it, right? But what was coming up is this resistance of like putting people on a pedestal, right? Because of a following, because of how they look, because of this illusion of what we're putting out there on social media or whatever that is, that separation of this person is better than me because they have X number of followers. This person is better than me because they're already thriving and successful in the material realm. This person is better than me because they have a rocking body, whatever it is, right? And thinking we don't have a seat at that table, thinking I couldn't dare invite myself to collaborate with this person or message them and say, hey, I want to collaborate with you, or hey, I want to be on your podcast, or hey, I want to do something with you. Because there's this fear of rejection. There's this fear of I'm not good enough. Who am I to reach out to this person? What are they going to see in me with my tiny following and my, like maybe they won't be able to see my magic. And the only reason you're feeling that is because you're not fully claiming your seat at the table. You're not fully seeing your magic. You're not fully dissolving that barrier of separation, which sees someone else on a pedestal, someone else better than you, someone else above you, right? We're all gifted in different ways. So these men that I used to talk down and be like, oh, that's cute with your breath work and your fucking money and like whatever, you're so 3D. They're so basic. They're so unevolved spiritually because I'm this priestess, whatever, all my internal bullshit. They are higher than me in certain areas of my life, right? That's the truth. The truth is they've mastered certain things. Does that make them better than me? No, right? There was an analogy someone was talking about. I can't remember what it was on a podcast. I heard this. It's such a beautiful analogy of like in a kitchen, we need to have like there's got to be the sous chef. There's got to be the pastry chef. There's got to be the high chef, or what do they call them? The main chef, the head chef. There's got to be people in their lane doing their separate things to be able to come together and make that beautiful meal at the end. So we all need to find our place in that magic, and we all have things to offer each other. And you cannot be judging your gifts, your worth, your beauty, your frequency based on other people, based on what someone else is having to offer, based on what someone's already built. Just because someone is further along then you are at a certain level of a journey or an aspect of a journey. Doesn't mean that they're better than you. It just means that they've been focusing on other shit, right? So those men that have created those massive empires, that are financially thriving, that have tons of followers and rocking bodies, they're not better than me because they're at that point. Because when we look at spiritual mastery, I've definitely evolved, my spiritual mastery is way higher. My ability to receive and feel things and my emotional depth and my heart openness is at a higher level. But my physical world mastery is shit. I'm working on changing that, but it's not where theirs is, right? So we can't think we're better than people because we've checked out a certain area and we've got it all under control, or that other people are better than us. We cannot continue to place ourselves and our worth and our value on one metric, on what is being shown to us through social media, through the illusion of what people are projecting their life to be. Because what I've seen, those who are willing and vulnerable to share, even some of these men on these high level, who have these big following, and women and whatever it is, whoever it is that have these high level followings, sometimes they feel fucking empty. Sometimes they feel lost. Sometimes they're still working on shit. They're still working on their spiritual mastery, right? So we all have different things to offer each other, is what I'm trying to say. And we need to work at, when we have this little voice that is projecting I'm better than this person, or like, oh, that's so cute, that's sweet, whatever, this man is so beneath me, right? I'm really talking to the feminine here, because we need to open our hearts first, right? We need to open our hearts first. I know that that's really challenging because it's also us that have had to wear the fucking weight of most of this awakening ascension until now. But the men are coming and they're willing to support. They really are willing to support, and they're here. And I've been talking about this for years, feeling like the divine masculine is rising. But the women need to open our hearts and be willing to start to work with the men, so we can lift them up into spiritual mastery, and so they can lift us up into emotional mastery, because they're not emotional. So being able to handle our emotions, but financial mastery, physical mastery, mental mastery. We have these different things to offer each other, and we're so much stronger when we're working together. So that is my really short nugget of wisdom drop today. Wanted to share that because I think it's so important for us to be collaborating now. We're not lone wolves anymore. We're not here to do things on our own. We're not here for it to be difficult, to be grinding, to be pushing, to be forcing things. We're here to be working with each other and rolling these energies into amplifying them, so we can create more impact, more magic, more abundance, all of the things. So reflection exercises for you today is like, look at where you're still keeping yourself in separation. Look at where you're saying things like, oh, all the unevolved men or women out there, or the women are too emotional and like woo woo. If you're a man, that's a fucking big one for the man. Like, look at, where are you turning down a woman's advice or intuition or magic because you're like, she's too emotional and I don't trust emotion, right? Had this recently come up in a situationship of like, that emotion was too much, right? So we need to be claiming our unique magic, our unique gifts, claiming our fucking space at the table and being like, this is a round table. We are all equal. We are all valid. Getting really fired up here. We all have a fucking seat with our unique magic and our gifts. And we need to claim that. It's an energy of like, I don't give a fuck if you reject me, right? Because I know my worth, I know my value. And so if I'm going to offer things and people are going to reject me, then that collaboration, that relationship, that co-creation wasn't meant to be anyway, because there wasn't full resonance on both sides. But the people who are for me will see my magic. And I'm seeing this. I'm seeing amazing people coming into my life who can see my magic because I've claimed my magic, because I've claimed I'm ready for my seat at the fucking table. I'm ready to play with the big boys and girls, the big guns, right? Let's not make this gender specific. I'm ready to be on that fucking platform, reaching all the people. But that took me a lot of self-love work, right? It took me a lot of releasing the wounding around my heart, around separation, around not trusting the masculine, around not trusting women, around all of that shit where I felt like I was not good enough. I was not worthy. I couldn't see my own power. I couldn't see my own beauty. I couldn't see my own magic. So it starts from within first. And we can also heal this within connection, right? So even just being on that call yesterday was so healing for me to see, oh, look at all this shit coming up. Look at where I feel like uncomfortable to be here, unworthy to be here. Look at where I'm judging. Look at where I've spoken up and I've offered something and that's being received, right? So we heal this in connection, in intimacy, in co-creation, as well as individually. That is my message for today, guys. If you would like support to clear some of this stuff, to start to co-create, to collaborate, there's a couple of amazing activations in the Soul Mission Activator around Soul Tribe, around attracting in the Soul Tribe, but also around fear of being seen, around fear of judgment, fear of comparison, all of this stuff. The reason I'm fucking radiating the way that I am is because of this work that I've put out there. I received all of those codes prior to, releasing it for you guys. So I'm living embodiment of my work, of the magic that this is, of this work. I'm also open to working with you one-on-one. So definitely, if you're feeling it, if you feel like you're ready to allow yourself to be supported, allow yourself to co-create, drop down, send me a message on Instagram or on my email. Let's work together, guys. Let's fucking do this. Let's do this. It's the time. The time is now. I love you. And until next time, beautiful souls. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cracked Open. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend if this episode has served you in any way. For more information about the work that I do or to get in touch with me, read the show notes or head to beckmylonis.com. Until next time, beautiful soul.